I feel like I've become successful enough that I could stop wearing tight clothes. Me, like I see it as like there's like three reasons why you make art. I can't really find more than these three reasons basically. And it's because you love it, because you want to be popular, or because you want to make money. To me, like it's hard for me to find a fourth one. You know, that to me seems like the three main reasons people get into like art in general. You know, there's also people that do like, you know, religious art and stuff, but I would put that in love. But me, it was always about the love. Like it was like, you know, I need to do this. It's just something I need to do. I have no choice but to do it. It's something that like it's therapeutic, it's habitual. So it's like, you know, low-key obsessive. When I felt I was almost there, I started shooting beats to people, and God Fahim was the first guy to like go like, all right, no, this is fire. So after working with him, I saw Conway saying, oh, I'm doing a Black Friday sale in like 2015. And I hit him and he gave me a crazy price. So I got his shit. So now I'm paying for verses. I'm like, okay. And then I'm thinking, okay, I got Conway, I got Fahim, let me get Wes, you know? Then I hit up Wes, get a verse from Wes. Then I'm like, okay, keep going. And it just built like that. It was kind of natural. So it was like, that's when that started happening and I started seeing what they were rapping to my beats. Like Conway was like, I paid him for a 16. I was like, bro, like, can I do a 32? And I was like, fuck, yeah, sure, whatever. And when he gave me back the track, I was like, oh, okay, he was like inspired. So I started seeing that like, you know, my beats had, like were getting approval in a way. So that's when I was like, okay, you know, get into it, put out an album. All of a sudden somebody hits me, hey, can we like, you know, pay you for the licensing to put this out on vinyl? And I'm like, okay, so that happens. So now I'm seeking that. So now I'm like, okay, let me put out albums and try to pitch it to vinyl record labels and shit to try to put out like an exclusive run, you know? So it just really like off of just, I think it's just off of like loving it, studying it and immersing myself in it and just having a business mind state just to begin with. It just kind of like, you know, just slowly forged into what it is. 2009 to 2013 hip hop music, like to me it took kind of a dip, like before people could really adjust to like the new business models and streaming and the death of like physicals and like all that, like, and also there was just like people were like scrambling for weird sounds and stuff, and I didn't like anything. I didn't like anything, especially not anything that sounded like classic hip hop. Like nothing was coming out back then except like Cuban Links 2, basically. Like Cuban Links 2 was like one of the only projects in that whole era to me that was like, that I knew about, right? But then later I discovered Marsburg and I discovered Reloaded and I discovered all these things and I went to that. But before I discovered Marciano, I was like literally listening to like just like Chief Keef and Fredo Santana and Lil Reese and stuff and just like trying to copy the drum patterns but like put like samples instead. But it wasn't working. It was not fire. I was like older, I was doing like double shifts, like 12-hour days in a warehouse, working like, I did like 20 something days straight one day, like one time, like, you know, 12 hours a day type of shit. So I would come home dead and I would just like, all I wanted to do was just like crash on the couch, smoke a spliff, and I'm not gonna listen to like Gangstar or like MOP or Dipset, right? I'm gonna put on something smooth, some like Sade or some like nice music. But then like Marciano, his music had that sonic because he's not putting drums, right? He's just taking straight soul songs, jazz songs, whatever, and just looping it. So I was like, oh, this is fresh. This fits with like, you know, it sounds more mature. It sounds like the logical evolution of this young genre, you know? So I was really like, I was trying to find anything that had that sound. I was breathing like breathed new life into me as like creatively. So I just started making mad beats. I was like, oh, I got crazy loops. I'm great at crate digging. I can find the illest shit that nobody can find. So now I just got to concentrate on that and just make all these drumless beats and just stack all these drumless beats. So I just went into like, you know, full hermit mode and just went in, just smoking and not eating basically and just making beats every day for like years. And then basically, you know, I was working too at the same time and it just unlocked eventually. like I was making so many beats. It's like I couldn't have made nearly as many beats back then if I was getting it off of vinyl. So the thing I did basically is that I wasn't getting it off of YouTube because like I'm not getting YouTube quality. So let me try to find a way that is going to be the same thing as if I had the vinyl. So I found all these blogs, like, like whatever.blogspot.com or whatever.wordpress.com, of vinyl collectors. There's tons of them. There's thousands and thousands of these sites of vinyl collectors. There's a culture of this, and they like feature all their like friends that do the same thing in like a column, like of this, like if they're the same genre or whatever. And it's collectors that like they'll upload daily like zippy shares or mediafire or mega uploads and shit of like a record they have. That's why I love sampling, because like I love smoking weed and listening to music. So I found literally a job that that's my job. My job is listening to music and smoking weed. So that's all I do. And sometimes the only type of creative funk I could have is I don't feel like going to dig. That's the only thing. But if I'm going to dig, I'm going to get creative. I'm going to get inspired. I'm not from Montreal, so like I really like see Montreal in a high regard, and I love the people here and everything. So it's like, yeah, fuck, I gotta contribute. Like it's an honor for me to like be like, when I was talking about the thing of being recognized earlier, like I'm still honored. Like it's like this shit is fire. Like it worked. Like I didn't expect that. That's why I always wanted to play the background in a way. So like when I started doing interviews and stuff, I saw positive feedback, so I started doing it more and more. And I got the like, oh, it's a good way to collaborate and meet people and network and everything like that too. So now people recognize me, but it's like I'm still honored, man. It's like people in Montreal really fuck with me, and I fuck with Montreal heavy. I tried at first. That was like the first thing. In my head, it was like, oh, you start local, then you go to the big city. You do it in the big city, and then once you're bumping in the big city, then you go international, right? That's the way I saw it. So I took the back door through like the underground, and when like nobody really like fucked with me, like even when shit was like going crazy, like with Ransom, me and him had like 5 tapes out in 2020, and still nobody really knew me in Montreal. But then when I got the Jay-Z co-sign with the mock track on like his best songs of the year list, and I posted that, like, I marketed well. I was like, yo, Jay-Z fucking put my song in his best songs of the year list. I started getting like people from Montreal like following me and stuff like that. Like that's like something that was like something for them that they understood. I started working with Connaisseur Ticazo, who's like, basically like I'll be like completely blunt, like he's the only Quebec artist I listened to coming up. Like literally the only guy. Like shout out to Sans Pression. I would bump his stuff too, but not like Connaisseur. Him, Block B with King and stuff, like it was just I was just like, hooked to that shit. That shit was just, to me, it was the only shit in Quebec where they really got it. They really, 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 really got it, and in French. So I was like, always hooked on that. But like, he was doing a lot of shit too, so he never got the chance to actually put out his first album, even though he was like bumping since like '03. So when he actually put out his first album, I got a chance to meet him right before, because he was a Ransom fan, right? So I got a bit like, it was still through that in a way. He loved Ransom because he got it, right? He's like a dude from the real cloth. So I got to be on his tape right after the Jay-Z cosign. So I get the Jay-Z cosign, people in Quebec start getting a little buzz. And then I get put on the first long-awaited album, 17 year in the making album of like this like Montreal legend, who's also like my favorite artist from Montreal. Just want to be the best at what you do. To me, that's just it. Just want to be the best, and immerse yourself in it too. And just like, if you're the best but you stay in your corner and just like nothing, like you're not doing anything and nobody's ever going to hear you, like of course it's not going to work. But if like you're just patient and you just do the little necessary things and you just block by block, you just build it, but you just work on having the best product at all time, to me, like it's always going to be rewarded, and it feels great. It feels really like, all that long, because of course there's doubts. There's tons of little types of doubts all the time, right? But it never comes big enough to like, put you off track. So it's the best, it's the best payoff, honestly. The patience. You just don't look for the success. Just see success as being the best, just to you. Like, I had some really like great people around me still, like even through like even some of them, like even if like some shit happened with them or whatever, I always had like, people that succeeded in what they did, people who really like worked on what they did, who really like, so I always kind of like gravitated to them more and kept them in my life more, and they just helped me. Everybody, like everybody was telling me like basically the only thing I would hear was like, oh, you should just do more trap beats, do more like actual like, get away from the samples and that type of sound. That's what some people would tell me, but that's about it. Nobody ever, everybody in my friends and in my like immediate circle always told me I was great and that I was going to succeed. Honestly, everybody, like all my close friends. That's another thing I'm really trying to work on too. Like now that like actually things are going well and like there's a little platform setting itself up and moves are being unlocked that are just like surefire moves. I'm just trying to put everybody on, and everybody's responding well and actually starting to do some moves right now. So it's a great thing. So yeah, no, my friends have always been great. Family has always been great too. They didn't think I was actually gonna like pop, but they were supportive, They thought, they knew I was good, right? They knew, like, they're the ones that brought me my first guitar. They're the ones that paid for the school out here and everything. So they were extreme supportive still, But like when things did happen, like now when they see me in like La Presse or they hear me on Radio Canada or stuff like that, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, now we get it, They didn't know what Jay-Z meant either, but Radio Canada and La Presse, that's the shit. Elmer. It's now part of Gatineau, but it's like more English. It's there's a bridge directly Elmer to Ottawa. It's like we're like right outside of Ottawa. We're like basically like an Ottawa suburb, but it's really like half French, half English. Like I grew up on the French side. I know no English people from Elmer, like zero, like none. Like it was beef. Like you would pull up to a party and be French. Guys would like be pulling out bottles on you and shit, like literally. So it was weird out there for that shit. There was like a real like French English tension in that, and all I got, no, probably still, but especially when I was growing up, it was kind of wild. It felt like some like old school like Irish like Catholics versus Protestant type shit. It was weird, but yeah, Elmer though, yeah, AY. The fact that I got him out of retirement felt like such an accomplishment, such like a contribution. Like I gave something to hip hop fans. Right? You wanted more Ransom? I got you more Ransom. And in my opinion, this is the best Ransom that ever was. So, yeah, everything he's doing, man. Shout out to V Don. I saw they were announcing some shit today. They got some shit coming. They just posted a snippet. They're going nuts too. So, yeah. I'm very, very proud. Shout out to 38 Spesh too. He contributed to motivating Ran to get into the new movement too, because he put Ran onto the new moves, the new business moves and everything, because people have to realize, I was even talking about it today with some friends, like after the thing I had earlier, just the new business, the new music business is just, there's so many new ways to make money that have nothing to do with any label or any type of old method. Like it's completely new methods. I just want people to feel through my beats how passionate I am about this shit and how much I really just want to give back. And now that it's going great, I can actually live off of it and build my funds to give back even more, Do shit like Kanye clearing that, Dreaming of the Past sample. Because goddamn, that shit must have cost, man. You hear that? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I want to have funds to be able to do stuff like that. Have funds to be able to get Kodak on a drumless beat, Stuff like that's the goal too. So I got to build my funds, but at the end of the day, like I said, number one is music, number one is the love, number two is the money, then number three is the popularity. So that's my order, and it's gonna stay that way, like the way I see it.